Hello everybody. Recently I went over one of my plus 20 runs to figure out how I could improve my DPS. This is the first time I do that kind of recording and the format has definitely a bunch of issues, like it went much longer than expected, it's lacking a lot of structure and so on. And looking back at it, I kinda hesitated to post it at first, but I guess I kind of need to start somewhere, and it can still give you some insight on how you can review your own replays, and some balanced route stuff and some dungeon stuff as well. I have a few ideas how I could improve that moving forward, so let me know what you think about it, and without further ado, here we go. I hope you'll enjoy it, and I wish you the best in your own keys. Cheers. Let's see what's going on here. Okay, so this is set up. This is typically like the reason you don't want nature balance, like you can pretty much like drop a turnip and like, you know, stack a little bit of AP. It's actually better to have like than having like nature balance. You just need to stop DPS at around like 5 seconds, 7 seconds ish. I think somebody like didn't stop like at the right time, which is why like we got a bit late when we put the key. But it's whatever, like get the idea, you just like pump like a little bit of AP and you have like a little bit of AP like getting into the key. Alright, so this is the first pull. First pull that I'm doing is, like as you can see, like I'm not proccing Starfall right away. The idea is that like I was asking to my tank, like what are you doing like when you enter the pack? It was telling me like I'm doing like a spinning kick plus like Jetfire, and I'm like, okay, I'm not sure that I can actually Starfall, or if I will probably re-aggro by Starfalling here. So just in case, I didn't do anything, I just like started Moonfiring. Moonfiring is like, you know, not doing a lot of damage. So it should be fine, basically. Up. So there we go. So what I'm doing now is like proccing as many Moonfire as I can first. And the moment the mobs are packed, I will like Sunfire, use my Starfall, and convoke the Spirit. Unfortunately, I had like the Quaking appearing. I didn't have the Quaking cast like bar here. I still had like a bit of value out of my convoke, so it's actually quite okay. But this mistake was done like way too many times during this thing. I just cancelled it and like run Starfire at the trees because my tank was asking me to do. I think the thing that like I do not really great in this convoke is basically I over Starfall. See, like I'm refreshing Starfall where it's like, you know, at 8. So like I'm completely like not getting a lot of value from refreshing Starfall. I should probably Star Surge here, which would improve like the damage that I do on my Starfire. So Starfire. As you can see, like I'm never Moonfiring here. Like Starfire has just so much value. Like you can see, like I'm actually popping a lot here. But like don't Moonfire. So mobs are still alive. A lot of them are actually still alive. What do we do now? We could like enter Solar Eclipse and clean up the pack, or we could enter Lunar Eclipse and like pump a bit more damage, right? So if it was like, you know, this pack and we will chain like into another one which is fairly, you know, decently sized, something like 5 target or something like that right away, I would probably enter Solar Eclipse here. And just for the sake of like, you can see like people are going to die soon. Like it's like 112k HP that's going to die fairly quick, right? So I would probably like trying to enter Solar Eclipse here, but like I'm going to go for my Lunar here first because like I will still get a fair amount of value here. And the second thing is we are taking the pool which is like a little bit further back here as a transition to the next pool. And on that pool, I can definitely use my Solar Eclipse and like, you know, dodge it and stuff like that. Move to the next position and like, you know, plan a little bit my thing. And also like we still have like a bit of hero, which is kind of good. So I can use that for like a little bit. So you can see like I'm entering Lunar Eclipse here. Just pumping Starfire. Refreshing my Starfall. Starfire. Refreshing my Sunfire. Maybe. Yes, there we go. And now I can enter like Solar Eclipse and clean up, right? Like clean up the remaining targets, try to focus targets, try to do something that is valuable for the group in terms of like whoever I focus to increase the efficiency of the pool. So we have a bit of a quaking, like since the pack actually moved like toward me, I actually wasn't like in the right place for quaking. Doesn't really matter, I just move out and we are good. we're chaining to the next thing, which is really good because I'm in Eclipse and I can set up my dots, right? So there we go. Refresh my Starfall, Sunfire, and we're good. We can move forward. I think like committing the lunar eclipse is kind of a mistake here. I think yeah, I think like committing the lunar eclipse is not a good idea. I should literally pump Starfire out of Eclipse here, right? Like you do the single wrath, so like you can trigger Starfire lunar eclipse whenever you want. But I think like I should probably just Starfire here, just for the sake of keeping my eclipse generating a little bit of AP, and like being ready for the next pack, because I definitely won't have my solar eclipse, my lunar eclipse for the next pack. So that's what we do. We chain to the next pack. I tree right away. So tree kick. We talked about that before. I don't think the bags are not dropping any sanguine. That's like not elite mobs. You can see like it's missing the little star on the side, right? So like anything that like isn't an elite mob is not proccing on death affix. So bolstering, actually I'm not sure about bolstering, but bursting, sanguine, all these kind of things are not proccing. So yeah, that's about it. We are beaming here, and then we are entering solar eclipse, which is kind of unfortunate because here like, okay, like this overall is like fairly high, but like if we were like to shorten that on the beginning of the pool, I think I'm not doing like a lot of damage here. I think I'm not doing like a lot of output here. So like I should have saved my lunar eclipse coming in the pack, so I could have like set up a little bit the pack and then pump into my lunar eclipse. That would have been like much better by far. But anyway, we are committing spear, so it's not much of a big deal, but like, you know, damage is good for damage, right? Whatever it means. Alright, we have Pride coming up next. Pride rotation is like fairly easy. You just like, you know, dot, pop your eclipse. There we go. Use Star Surge. Single target rotation is fairly easy. You pump, made of pump. You refresh your dots like about, you know, 3 to 4 seconds like remaining in your eclipse. Like that's generally the good timing to do that. Even like if your dots are actually like, you know, running well like on single targets, you don't have this thing that like popping Starfall like won't extend your, well, you don't pop Starfall, so you don't extend your dots. That's what I mean. So yeah, that's generally the way you approach like eclipses. There we go. So this is like where the plans didn't really go as well as I expected. I don't have my CA here, and this is like the moment I was mentioning before, which is like you want to pull the boss first and convoke CA, and then pull the little cheaters. Otherwise, like your CA is going to no, your convoke is going to dot like all the shit, and like it's going to be like fairly useless a convoke. Well, it doesn't really matter. Like it's still good to put them on the CD, but like it's not really great. Like I'm actually missing like a little bit of thing. Fortunately for us, like we pulled something else here, because like the soldiers are on top of a mob, of a boss, and we don't want these soldiers. And the reason we don't want these soldiers, you can see they are like elites. So we don't really want to have like elites dropping sanguine during a boss fight, because if the boss happens to take a tick of sanguine, it's a huge deal. It's a huge time loss. Like, considering the amount of HP like the boss has, we can't really allow ourselves to do that, right? So there we go. We wait for a battle to go away, and now we have the thing. And like that would have been the perfect time to pop CDs here. See, like I'm just moonfiring the thing, and like assuming I had my CDs, but I don't. That would have been like the perfect time, because like there is no over targets. And I would pump, but yeah, it is what it is, right? There we go. This was actually like quite spooky, because I got like a bunch of bugs jumping on me, right? Plus the quaking coming up. My first reaction was like, it's spitting on me. I didn't bark here, like that was actually my huge mistake here. And then like the little cheaters are like jumping on me, and the reason they are jumping on me is that I have Starfall active. And my tank like just like pull them, you know, like without like an actual thing that like does AoE damage. So I'm the first target here. I could have died here. I could definitely have died. Like when you see like the amount of damage that I'm taking from the spitting thing, it's like about 80% of my life. I don't have bark skin up. That's like a huge mistake as well. So what I'm doing is like getting away from the area and like to basically like give kiting like, you know, in the opposite direction from my tank here. My tank like can take back aggro fairly quickly here. At this time, so that was my plan right now, like right at that moment. And you can see it like I'm starting to tilt my camera. And at this time, we get a quaking. So I'm actually jumping on top of other people. So like Nightfire form, blink, see ya nerds. Like this was like a bit of a scary thing. I think I should have like wait a little bit of time to burn my CD. I think like this is not a really good damage. Like I don't know if we will get like to have a lot of Moonfire cast on the other on the bag and the worms. We'll see that soon. Yeah, we got a bit lucky. Like we got only like 2 Moonfires, I think, which is kind of okay, right? And I'm pumping damage a lot. But like this is kind of a lucky convoke, right? And you don't want to have lucky convoke. You want to have like something which is an expected amount of damage. Oh, and don't hope to get a full moon in convoke. That's not how the spell works. Like hope is not a strategy. Alright, we are just like pumping some damage. I'm doing something which is arguably bad, but like it's just like convenient, but I don't think it's the right thing to do. I'm focusing the boss here in general, and the reason is that I really don't want to, you know, be almost done casting a Starfire and not finishing my Starfire. That's a huge damage loss. So yeah, that's the thing. I'm still not proccing Bark, by the way, here, which is like kind of trolling at this point. So I think I realized at that point that like I was actually doing something wrong, and that this is, even if it's fortified, it's like eating like a truck, so I should probably use my cooldowns. And yeah, you should definitely use your cooldowns. Like whenever you have a defensive that's ready for that, like just use it, like just use it. Besides that was kind of okay damage, I believe. I was keeping like Starfall up for like about the right time. I got all of them? No, I think Cat got one. Okay. But yeah, that's about it. That's about it for that boss. Can move on to the next thing, I think. So again, same combo. I will Treant first and Beam next, which is really practical. It's like really worked really nice. I actually didn't Treant this time. I should probably have. I think like I was just like setting up my thing, or maybe my tank. Like I was asking my tank to tell me when I should burn it. I think. So this is not a great setup here. Let's talk about that. So I'm coming up here. This is 5 target. Typically, like this is you know a by the book case. You have 5 targets. 5 targets that are going to live for a while, I mean. And you are ready to enter Lunar Eclipse. As soon as possible, proc your Sunfire. Make it so that like in a single GCD, like you are Sunfiring everything. Then you Moonfire everything. And then you enter Eclipse. And then you pump Starfire. Whenever possible, like I don't have AP right now, but like whenever possible in this plan, you pop Starfall. Like whenever you can. Like it's probably better to like Sunfire than Starfall. But the idea is that you Sunfire like as soon as possible, you Starfall as soon as possible, you Moonfire the 5 targets, you enter Lunar Eclipse, you pump Starfire. So yeah, that's the idea. And what I'm not doing here is like I'm popping, I believe, Sunfire, not leaving all the targets because there was a one that jumped. Well, that happens, right? Like that's not a big deal. But the thing that is a big deal is that I'm entering Lunar Eclipse right now, and I shouldn't be. I should like be dotting everything first before entering Eclipse. So yeah, that's an actual huge damage loss, by the way, because like it might look terrible on the meteors at the beginning, but like your dots are like a really efficient damage, right? Because like you are spending a single GCD, and if like the dot lives during like the whole duration of it, it's a huge damage input. So yeah, it's actually quite bad here. I should probably like have stacked a little bit of AP at the end of the boss as well, like not dumping like all my AP, but like preparing like the next pack, right? So yeah, like that's That's the kind of signals that I'm trying to find here. Like, I need to basically, before entering a pack, I need to count the mobs. 5 or less targets, I dot first, and then I enter a Lunar Eclipse. Like, that's a mistake here, and a pretty big one, actually. I should proc of Sunfire here, I believe. Yeah, there we go. And then I start dotting everything because I'm in Starfall. Solar Eclipse, so like, you know, Solar Eclipse is your dotting eclipse. You don't want to spam Wrath unless you actually really need the AP, because Wrath is like great only for AP for this kind of packs. Like, you're not getting a lot of damage by wrathing a target. Yeah, you should definitely dot everything, especially when everything has like about this life, right? Also, like, I'm pumping damage, right? Like, I'm actually quite high in the thing, but like, I think I could be like about 1k and a half higher on that pool, to give you an idea, right? So that's kind of a big deal. Alright, so I actually pulled the logs from that pool to like make my point and try to figure out like what went wrong here. And you can actually like see that like I really didn't Moonfire a lot in that pool, right? So this is the Moonfire damage. You can actually see it, like it's in green right there. And it's really not great, right? Because like I think like, especially in the way the pool was shaped, we could have done like much more here. We couldn't have like dot like the 5 targets easily first, which is like efficient damage, and then like the moment we get back to Solar Eclipse, we could have like dot like everything else, refreshing the dots or something like that. It would have been like really good damage here. And in the end, like we end up like with this kind of like Moonfire Eclipse disgusting, right? And yeah, like not a lot of damage from Starfire as well, because like our Lunar Eclipse was not really well set up. You know, like it was really like, you can see like the DPS wasn't that bad, right? And I think this is like mostly due to like the amount of targets and stuff. But in the end, like it wasn't like really a good damage either. Like this could have been like 11k, I think, or maybe less, like 10k and a half or something like that. I think. Like soldiers are like eating like a truck, by the way. So like we are kind of like using, you know, engineering belt. By the way, if you don't know this engineering belt, you should definitely get one, especially for high keys. This is incredibly good. It's basically like summoning like a small assassin, a small thing, which like taunt in AoE all the mobs for 3 seconds. It doesn't look like a huge deal, but like for a lot of tanks, 3 seconds is like by far the difference between life and death 5 times. So like typically for a Brewmaster, you're reducing like the amount of staggers it has for by quite a substantial amount. So the way it works is that like you will press the belt, right? You will activate the belt here, and you have like this little dude appearing. Look at that. And like all the mobs that are around this little dude will start attacking him. After the first time it takes a hit, it will like live for about 3 seconds and disappear like the way it did right now. It's incredibly powerful. So yeah, like we are just like popping a little bit of things to actually help a little bit the tank. Like this like he was having like not the greatest time of his life here. Anyway, so I'm entering like, I'm finishing my Lunar Eclipse here. It's a bit unfortunate to be in Lunar Eclipse here. It doesn't matter though, because it doesn't matter which eclipse I'm entering on the next pool if I am going to burn like my CDs on, right? Because I just want to kind of be in an eclipse ideally, and I don't even really care about that. Just for the sake of setting up my pool, right? Like dotting shit and stuff like that. And then popping all my CDs and like getting an insane amount of value from them. But like I don't really care about like which eclipse I'm entering, right? So you can see like what I'm going to do here is probably dotting the 3, Starfire, probably enabling like something or so, I don't know, but like, and then popping all my CDs, and this is going to be like good damn. There we go, Moonfire, and we pump. I pumped like maybe a little bit early. I could have spent like a Star Surge here, like to drop to 40 Astral Power. When you pop CDs, you kind of want to be around 40 Astral Power, because unless you have a full moon, which doesn't I kind of want to say doesn't happen, right? Unless you get a full moon, you won't overcap if you are at 40, which is great. because it means that like you can then spend like, you know, Star Surge, or something like that to empower your Eclipse, and like get the Emperor one for your Starfire to pump like a lot more damage, because like you are creating a lot more with it. So this is a good thing to know and good thing to use, and this is something that you should do. Like try to pop your CDs around 40. Otherwise, you can probably like pop, I don't know, one additional Star Surge beforehand, before casting the Eclipse and entering Eclipse. I think that's actually something that works great here. I could have been Mir. I think I should have been Mir. Yeah. So yeah, like I slightly overcapped. You could have seen it here. I get the aggro, it doesn't really matter. I'm just when you get aggro, especially as a balanced druid, because you don't care, you can still cast during the aggro. Try, unless like the mob is going to one-shot you, to which case like you need to run far away. Try to get back to your tank. At low-key, you can still do that. And low-key, I'm speaking like below 22. You can still do that because you are likely not getting one-shot by the mob. At hierarchy, you don't have a choice, you need to run out. Because at hierarchy, like it's basically like all the mobs are basically a plus 15 boss, right? So like you can't really like face tank them. Like it doesn't really matter. Try to get to your tank. It's generally like making their life much easier in terms of like taking back the aggro from you. Otherwise, if you are a night elf like me, you can probably meld. But yeah, you get the idea. You need to use your utility to actually get back to the tank here. Like that's quite important actually. There we go, we put Prideful on top of that. I think like we can just move on to Prideful. Let's see if I innovated like my healer, but like you should always try to check for healer mana on Prideful. I think healer heavily misunderstand how to use Innervate. In general, like healers want to use Innervate whenever they are running out of mana. This is not the way you use it. The way you use it, you try to put it in cooldown as soon as possible whenever there is something that pumps a lot of healing. So if you are on a pack that like, you know, does heavy AoE or stuff like that, you innerve, even if you are like sitting at 90% of your mana, because you know that like getting out of this pack, you will be at 60%. And like having the innerve, you may be like, I don't know, at 85% say, or like 80% maybe, I don't know, who cares? But you will have the innerve and cooldown, meaning that you will be able to get another innerve and more innerves over the course of a dungeon. So like you are less likely to run out of mana basically. And this is like quite a huge misunderstanding of how Innervate works and how you should organize your Innervate. Innervate is a cooldown, you should use it basically. So yeah, like as a default, if you are pugging, if you are not like within an organized group, like good timings to innerves are basically pack before the Pride and during the Pride. Like that's generally good timings to innerve. And I'm not innerving at all on this, which is quite bad. Alright, this pack is a bit special. Okay, first off, like aggro issue, this is nothing that like I can really do anything with. Like this is, as I mentioned before, you just run to your tank and like you just ask him to get back aggro, right? And that's about it. But there are a couple of things that happen here and that we need to talk about. First off, it doesn't really matter which Eclipse you enter here. Both Eclipses are good. And the reason is, you want to focus this Necromancer. You want to kill it like as soon as possible, right? And the reason you want to kill it as soon as possible is that A, you don't want to Sanguine to drop below its feet, because it means more mobs to deal with. And B, you don't really want to pop too many mobs or to deal with like too many, you know, annoying mobs. So yeah, like basically what I'm probably trying to look for here is funnel target on Necromancer. Sorry, funnel damage on Necromancer. Damage funneling is an interesting mechanic in Balanced Druid because you generally like, you know, switch between AoE and damage targets or single targets. And in this specific case, I think it's better like to, you know, Star Surge a little more the Necromancer. So what I should be looking for right now is have the Necromancer at all time my priority target. Starfall if I can. Have my dots at all time on the Necromancer. And try to Star Surge as much as possible on the Necromancer. That should be what I'm looking for. Second thing is, if we get back to the routes, so we pop CD here, right? We have Prideful, which is going to take like a bit of time, and we basically took about 2 minutes to do this pack, these 2 packs, I mean. So I have Convoke. I'm not going to get CA here. I'm going to get CA about here. I don't want to convoke CA here. I want to convoke CA about here, right? So I get it like in cooldown for the boss. So the plan will be something like that. Convoke CA, Pride. We have something like which doesn't require convoke CA, doesn't require convoke CA, doesn't require convoke CA, and convoke CA. No convoke. No, nothing. We get the cooldown. Prideful. We get the cooldown back, and we get to the boss. We have convoke CA. That's the plan. Now, if you take a look, this is going to take like about a minute and a half. This is going to take 30 seconds to 45 seconds. The Prideful. This is going to take about 1 minute and a half, probably something like that. A bit less, probably. This is going to take like about 30 seconds to get there. This is going to take like about probably 30 seconds, like these mobs like die actually fairly fast. This is going to take like about maybe less than a minute. That's a lot of time. That's a lot of time, right? So I should have like baby convoked here. So convoke outside of CA, right? And the baby convoke, the way you use it is basically to generate astral power. You don't generally do a lot of damage through baby convoke. It's just like it can happen like if you get a full moon because like luck god is with you, well, good, but it's generally not what happens. So the way I will try to do that is try to do that as soon as possible and entering an eclipse. So I enter an eclipse with about like 40 astral power, right? And I convoke right away. And you kind of want beforehand to set up your convoke in the way that like it doesn't moonfire a lot of targets, ideally 0 targets. So see, I do have like my convoke right now. The way I would do that is we are waiting for this to have like the little orbs. So I would moonfire, try to cleave the sunfire because why not? Get the orb, moonfire, not the mage because the mage we are going to CC, moonfire the wire. Do something to dump like a bit of astral power to get back to 40, right? Then Wrath, and Convoke. And that would have been like a really fine amount of damage, and like I would have empowered like my Lunar Eclipse a little bit because I would have get a bunch of Star Surge out. So yeah, a bit of a mistake here. That's not using enough Convoke basically within the dungeon. I could have like used it like one more time. The second thing that I'm not doing really well here is that when you get these orbs on the ground, and it's doing 2 things. First off, it's doing like ticking damage around you, and it's doing ticking healing around you. So even though you have Quaking as an affix, you kind of want to be close from one another, and you kind of want to be in melee. In the sense that like you are going to take a lot of damage and stuff like that. It's like a really easy pull to do. You actually have like Prideful additionally on that, so like, you know, like it's a really good thing to do. And here, like I'm not close enough. If we look at the damage, I think like I wouldn't do like a lot of ticking damage compared to like my other pairs here. So eventually we are taking the bag, so like I would not have like the best convoke, I guess. But yeah, that's still a convoke, you know. It's still like not lost. Anyway. One thing to note here, I'm targeted by this thing. This thing is spooky. So I'm just like, you know, going bare form plus like, oh, I don't have my Barktin, so like I think I'm cheating myself here. I'm going bare form like just to take the damage. And you can see like it's going to chunk me a little bit, boom. And then I can like go back to normal form. If I wasn't bare form here, I would have taken a lot of damage, I think. So yeah, to give you an idea of like how much damage this represents, like the little orb, this is the orb damage, Anima Exhaust. This is doing like 25k damage, which is literally 43% of like our damage. And if we take a look at like the damage done, you can see that like I'm the last, right? So Oh, actually, the cat is even like lower. I can make fun of her. But yeah, like you can see that I'm really low, and that's because I'm not in melee. You need to be in melee for these kind of things. Like I could like have tripled my damage almost if you take a look at like what Ib is doing right now, and I would like also do a lot of healing just through the anima exhaust thing. I believe it's how it works. Yes, yeah, that's how it works, right? So you're actually like doing a little bit of healing as well. So yeah, do that basically. Alright, next we are shrouding. Nothing to see here. Here there isn't like a lot of things to know. I'm just like setting up my dots. I'm just trying to, you know, enable my starfall. Start to pump a little bit. And what I want to do ideally here is like, I think probably like entering lunar eclipse is a mistake here. I probably want to be in solar eclipse actually. Just for the sake of generating a lot of AP and try to sink a lot of my AP into one of the shields. So like you actually like Star Surge, just for the sake of breaking the shield, and like you basically one-shots these mobs. And I think that's kind of a mistake to enter like Lunar Eclipse here because I'm not generating enough astral power, right? Yeah, and you are going to see like here I'm like focusing the right boy. Oh, we didn't break the shield. So yeah, that's actually a mistake, right? Like that's actually something that like I should have been doing. I think entering like Solar Eclipse would have been far better here. Here I'm just going single targets. Like this is there's no point in like going multi-targets here, like right? You are like trying to focus like doing a single target rotation. You don't care about the damage on like the rest of the group. You're just focusing down. You just kill the boy. That's cool. Nothing to worry about. And that's just about it. Like my single target rotation is actually quite okay, I think. I'm not really worried about that. Like I'm just worried about like dot management into like multi-target rotation and like eclipse management and stuff like that. We still get like we get another anima exhaust, right? And I want to compare like how much damage I will do with this one because I remember that this one we were like really tight together. So like you can see like here we're pumping, getting together. I'm firing everything here. Like you have no value in like trying to dot everything here. I'm just like, you know, doing a bit YOLO damage here. It's not the best. It's not the best convoke, I guess. But it's kinda okay. I will get to get like a bit of astral power for the Prideful coming up. I don't think it's necessary. Because I think like we will be able to do like a lot more. This is 8, 9, 10, 11. I think we will be able like to heal through that like fairly easily, to be fair. Damage done. And damage done by ability. Yeah, look at that. This is 37% of our damage. And of course like the rest is my damage because like, you know, I burned CDs here. But I mean, we thought this pack would be like much more dangerous actually. So like I just popped everything here. I don't think it was fully necessary. I don't really see like any other places where I could have popped everything. So it's not that bad either, right? Alright, after this pride we are going to do some fairly big pool here. So I'm setting up my dots, 5 targets. So I'm setting up my dots first. There we go. So see, this is a good setup, right? This is a good setup. And I'm entering like the solar eclipse here. Popping enough astral power to like, you know, enter like a decent eclipse. We are focusing down the guy, which is good. We have one guy in the sanguine, but it's not that bad. I can refresh my dots here. You can see like that's I didn't do it correctly, but I think like I should have like refreshed my dot as soon as possible here. And then we pump, made of pump. Like Starfire. That's like the story of our life here. And we end up doing quite good damage. Alright, we shroud everything here. And we killed everything a little bit faster than I actually planned for. So I don't have like my convoke right away. So, how do you use your CD here? Well, first off, you will probably lose right away in the pool, right? Alright, so no worries, it's all good, it doesn't really matter. if you don't get the overlap of Lust plus your CDs, it's not that bad. Ideally, you want to, but like it's not that bad. You generally benefit much more from Prideful as a buff than the Haste buff of the Lust. Haste buff is great, but like it's not really like the thing that scales us the best to a certain extent. Mastery is much better. Like there are a bunch of other things, but whatever. Point is, what you want to do is like to have boss damage. Of course, you will want to have add damage later, but like adds are going to die because we have like weapons to be used on that. We have like a bunch of kicks. We do have like some CCs coming up for them and stuff like that. So the way you want to plan your CDs here is like ask yourself, when is the boss is like without any adds, can I use a CD on that? So, but right before it spawns the ads. Because the thing is, if you do that, you end up like with a lot of astral power and you can double dip the mastery effect on your Starfall, which is really great. That's what I would try to do here, I think, which is trying to pop every CD that I have right before on that phase, Starfall, and double dip my mastery on Starfall. So we can see here. So I will probably not have the benefit of Lust, right? Like I have 40 seconds on my CD. I kind of want to have a specific setup, so definitely not having Lust for that fight. Okay, so what we are doing here is, ideally you never want to dot a mage, which is what I did by mistake here, right away in the fight. Reason is, on this fight there are 2 mages coming up, right? And generally what you can do is ship some of them, so like using paralysis, blind, sap, well sap it's a bit hard because you're in combat so you can't do that. I think polymorph works as well, trap works as well, stuff like that, right? You can ship them to ensure that like whenever the boss like casts his ability to like bring all the ads together, they are not exploding. So you don't need to damage them. It's a great thing to do. It's something that you kind of need to use like at a certain level on the key. And I think like it's something that we do well. But the thing is, if you dot something, which is exactly what I did here, you will break this CC, which is really, really bad. So now we need to damage this ad because like it's dotted. So you never really want to do that. What you want to do is like dot the warriors, dot the warrior, dot the crossbow. And if you see that like a mage is not dot, it's not shipped, then you dot the mage. Like you gave like literally 4 GCD for the group to react. Like if they are not reacting, they are just like, you know, miming. So yeah, that's pretty much the idea, right? So CDs are coming like in the right place as well. I'm going to beam that, really good. Like that's a good recovery, right? Like because like the guy is beamed, he will come back to a thing. We have a breath, like it's going to die. It's going to die. We are not really like in a bad spot. But it's less damage to the boss, so it's not that great. So let's see if I'm doing the right thing. And I'm not doing the right thing. So here I should have delayed by about like 10 seconds my CDs. Like the necrotic breath is not the ability. But if I delay by like about 10 seconds, so right before the summon, the land of the dead, I get full value out of my double dipping on the Starfall. So that's an actual mistake on how you execute the boss here. So yeah, necrotic breath, you dot the thing. Good. Am I setting up like my my pool correctly? Because ability is coming soon here. Like I don't have the timer, but you kind of know at some point like that the boss ability is coming soon to raise the dead. So in which state do you want to be before the dead are raised? You want to have Starfall cast right before like the ads are spawning, right? And your dot kind of in a nice place, right? In a nice situation. So you want A to pull AP, B to be ready to Starfall, so you can dot right away the moment the ads spawn. And then you can like do whatever, like you can enter Lunar Eclipse or something like that. Like ideally you want it to be in Lunar Eclipse, but here it's a bit hard to be in Lunar Eclipse. Blah 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 blah. You get the idea. But like that's about the plan that I have here. So I should be like stacking. If I'm spending my astral power here, yeah, okay, that's not too bad. Yeah, that's not too bad. That's probably a bit early. I should have like wait a little bit, and I Starfall, and I start dotting things. And I use my treants. Oh, that was like not far. And we pump, made of pump, and we are doing them. And then I kite like around the thing. Okay, that's actually quite okay. But yeah, you get the idea. This one, we want to focus the crafter, yeah, not the creation. That's a usual mistake here. You don't want to focus the creation because the crafter is going to kill the creation. Here, you just like primarily target your crafter and you pump, made of pump, and you can see that like whenever like he's doing the throw cleave, you just position yourself in a way. So like that's really unfortunate. Like our tank like kind of moved the mob. So the way I do it is I kind of like see the tank is here, right? The crafter is here. So the tank is like likely not going to like go through the creation. He's likely to pull it backward. So what I'm going to do is like getting behind the tank here so I can aim the crafter cleave toward the creation. And you can see like, boom, it's going to chunk it. And you can see like that the unfortunate thing that happened right after is that our mage like kind of moved there because the creation was kind of behind the crafter at this point. The mage kind of moved there to bait the cleave on top of the creation, and unfortunately, because our tank like I think was looking at the parts coming up here, our tanks like went a little bit backward and like pulled the creation away. Generally, what I'm trying to do here is like to be behind the tank because in the worst case scenario, the tank is taking the thing. That's it. Like the tank has full control over like how he wants to move the mobs, right? And you don't. And so like I think it's kind of better to be like behind the tank at this point. And look at that. Like it just moved a little bit and boom, that's sufficient to like one-shot cats here. That's unfortunate. That happened. Whatever. We just CR, like we didn't use a single CR, like we that was our first death in the dungeon, so like it's fine. We have a lot of time to deal with. So yeah, like we kind of focused like too much on the big boy, and we end up like with a crafter with a lot of HP. That's actually a little bit scary. You don't really want to be in this situation because like the throw cleave kind of deal a lot of damage. So yeah, not a big deal. I proc my Sunfire here. So this is a good setup again that I'm doing here. You can see it. Like I'm starting like to dot things first. Then I will enable Starfall and then I will Wrath. If I'm not dumb. Yeah, there we go. And then Wrath and then Pump, Starfire. I could even like Star Surge, I think, at the beginning of the thing. You kind of always want to focus the mob that is in the middle of the pack because this is where like your Starfire is the most likely to cleave. Like, considering how wide the Starfire cleaves are when you are in Lunar Eclipse, it doesn't really matter, right? But like, it's still something that like, you know, it's a small optimization, but sometimes it matters. And I'm doing it by reflex here. We kick the thing. We are moving to Solar Eclipse, refreshing the dots normally. So here, typically, I don't want to refresh the dots. Let me change that. I don't want to refresh the dot on this one because this target is going to die like within 11 seconds, so I don't need to refresh that. But I can definitely refresh these two soldiers. Like that sounds like a reasonable thing to do. And there we go. That's refreshed. Yeah, I think like burning like a Lunar Eclipse is fine here. Our rogue is setting up the patrol for the next pool. We're doing something a bit spicy here because like we are hesitating. Like the patrol is in the middle and distracted, so it's not going to move. But it's going to move toward this direction, right? And we want to pull that, I think. And we're like, yeah, but I want to pull that because I have CDs for that. Should I pull it? And we are like, yeah, but the distract will run out. So like we are kind of hesitating and stuff. Like you can see the tank going like, what should I do? And eventually we pull it. Like the big issue with that is like this crafter could have social the rest of the pool. And I believe we got like really lucky. Unfortunately, our healer dies in the process because we couldn't pull in place the pack. It was actually quite a bad move, to be fair. I think we shouldn't have done that. I think like we should probably have just like, you know, wait for the patrol to move or take the patrol even. Play something different, like probably try something like, probably try to play the patrol here. That would have been like better, I think. But yeah, it is what it is. This is how we did it. And that's about it. Okay, we are we are not even in boomy form, so like I can tell you that like my state of mind right now is definitely not into like how much damage I'm going to do, but like how can we recover from that. So I actually raised the healer, and like we are going to go back in damage form, and probably pop CD. Dude, I got so lucky here. I got so lucky. So I actually thought about that during the key, right? But like if you take a look, Drain Flood, I don't think we have a nice sign kick for that. I think like Brunies was taking the kick, right? And this is, look at what's happening, right? Look at that. Up. I am popping my macro, but I'm still in GCD. So I'm popping my macro, I'm popping my health pot, I'm popping like everything, but I'm still in GCD, so I couldn't pop my Convoke the Spirit. And the mob, the cast actually went through. If I wasn't in GCD here, I would have convoked, I would have been incapacitated, meaning that like my convoke would have been doing 0 damage, and like I would have been really salty on this one. So yeah, that's a really fun one. And eventually like I convoked right after, that's kind of okay, but yeah, like that was a bit spooky. I should have trance here like a while ago actually. I trent like way too late here. We let a cast go through, that's kind of my bad here. Like I'm literally trolling, not burning my kick here. I'm literally trolling everything. We don't really have like kick assigned for that section. I think that's something that we should probably work on. Like I think it will be valuable to, you know, like assign 2 people like the cleaver or something like that to just like, you know, blast the guy. That's kind of a mess situation. Oh yeah, that's actually where I did like the most annoying mistake on that key, where I pulled the patrol. That's kind of an annoying situation to be in. Like this guy is like, you know, pushing you back, and you want to be in the middle of this room. And I just totally forgot about the patrol on that pool. I just totally forgot about it, and it's just coming in my, you know, in my dead angle, right? And we are like, okay, what the fuck? So that just happened, right? That just happened. The way to avoid that is like just not to be dumb first, and like to play in the middle of the thing. So yeah, ideally the way to recover from that is wait for everybody to die. Not release when like somebody has like waking, but whatever. Everybody release, everybody goes up together. We are still super fine on time. It's a really unfortunate mistake. That couldn't have been a +2, I think, but like that could have caused the key like in a 21, for instance. For sure, actually. But yeah, this shit happens. What else? So we are back to the Pride, back to single target rotation. Not a lot to worry about here. So how do we approach this pool? This is 6 targets, right? The parts are just like annoying bits that are going to die soon. So the way I would approach this pool is Sunfire first, because everything is packed. Moonfire, Moonfire, Moonfire. And I leave the parts like alone. Like the parts are going to die on my Starfall. So I will Starfall and then enter like a Lunar Eclipse and pump on the Soldier of the Collector. And you kind of need to have like a key cast sign for Collector, I think, here. So here I'm like just, yeah, I'm just not doing the right thing here. Like I think I should just like pop Sunfire, Starfall, ... enter Lunar Eclipse. I think that would have been the right play. And I'm definitely not doing the right thing here. So there is a fine balance between like the amount of time you take to set up something and the efficiency of the setup, right? Because if you spend like these 3 GCDs that I spent like on the parts are not worth it, because like the damage efficiency compared to me entering Eclipse is far less important, right? So like yeah, that's kind of an issue. That was kind of a bad move here. It looks like only 3 GCDs, but like it's the kind of thing that like you kind of want to keep an eye on, because if you're doing it, it means that like you're doing it, you know, by reflex, right? And this is a bit of a damage loss, and probably like not a substantial one in the overall of a dungeon, but if you're doing that every single pool, that's definitely a substantial one. So yeah, like things to keep an eye on. So One thing that I learned actually in this dungeon, you see the timer that I have here on above the stitchwork. This is the timer for tenderize. If you're placing the 3 ants while he casts, the tenderize is still going to the tank. So what you want to do is to watch for that timer, which I believe is provided by Bigwigs. And whenever it's reaching, like, you know, 1 or 2 seconds or something like that, you 3 ants. And then the tenderize will go on the 3 ants, which is a huge fucking deal for the tank. So, like, definitely try to do that. I think I'm doing that afterward with a belt, with an engineering belt. Let's see. Am I doing it? No, I think nobody's doing it. Yeah, so like it's 2 stacks of tenderize. We have a golf platter, like, oh, we're actually not playing the game this in this room. Like we should fix like and balance the kick. I'm just like going to wedge row a little bit here, like, you know, just like offload it a bit. This kind of thing. Okay, so technically I shouldn't be doing that because you want to go restore form when there is a risk. So here I was just a bit scared about the dot. I saw the dot going through and I was like, hold on a second, this is going to do damage. So I started like freaking out a little bit and I went like restore form and pushed like for a little bit of healing here. Ideally, you don't really want to do that. You want to go in healing form when it's really necessary. Because so it's good to do it, right? It's good to help a little bit because you're relieving a little bit of stress. So yeah, it's always like a good thing to do whenever like there is an actual risk and the healer is like not necessarily ready for that risk or not necessarily like have CDs for that risk. And at this point, like, yes, your contribution is huge. But on this one, it wasn't. See, I'm just like dotting. Like this is 5 GCD spent on healing, which is good. Like it's like still 1.2k. Like that's probably be a little bit higher at the end of the pool, but it's not necessary. The balance is extremely hard to figure out, and that's something that like takes a lot of time. And you should try to do it, and you should try to figure out the good window of opportunities to heal. It's really healthy, but yeah. Convoke everything. Good. Nothing to say here. Like we are just going to treants like a little bit too late again. Like I mentioned that I figured out the tenderize thing like a little bit too late. But yeah, like I think the setup was good on this pool. Let me see. I'm dotting everything. Proccing Sunfire. Unfortunately, the Sunfire actually cleaved. Did I Sunfire twice? No. The Sunfire actually cleaved. Yep. And then I'm popping everything. This is a really good CD here. This is a really good opener. And then I treant, Starfall, and then go Starfire, Starfire. That's really good. Yeah, that's really good. Up, little kick here. Probably not necessary, but like again, we did have issues, so I prefer backing up here. And like we are doing a strong 16k damage here. We can enter like Lunar Eclipse. Probably could even like have enter Solar Eclipse for the sake of like reducing the stitch work HP a little more. Yeah, I think that would have been actually a good idea. Maybe not. I'm not sure. Probably not actually. Let's pump damage. Alright. Oh, this is like the unfortunate thing, right? So, Frog Cleavers, 2 on you. What do? You get behind one, and you go bear form with Barkskin. That's how you roll. Yep, there we go. And that's bear form plus Barkskin, by the way. Place some Sunfire. Pump a little bit of damage. Throw Flash is like literally nothing. It's like no damage. You kite that thing. If you had like a Paladin in your group, you can probably bob that. I think like our Rogue was a bit slow at vanishing that. Because it stacks the mobs and it's quite bad for Arcane Mage and me. And also for Rogue as well. I'm dotting everything. Again, good engage, that's good to see what is happening. Then double Wrath, enter Solar Lunar Eclipse and pump, that's really good. And I actually did even better here. So I'm popping rough. I actually did even better. He says while you see the stop casting thing. Oh shit. Doesn't really matter. Like I'm putting convoke in cooldown. That's not that bad either. And I'm going to Starfire here. Trees first. Starfall and Starfire. Kind of okay. Kind of okay. Entering Solar Eclipse. And I should be refreshing the dots soon. Like the moment I have like a little bit of AP. There we go. Refresh the dots. I can use Starfall again. Maintain the uptime on it. And here I'm doing like really good dam here, and the reason is I had full setup entering 2 eclipses, and this is a huge deal, right? Like that's a really good dam. Alright, go next. Just a bit sad that like I couldn't reset my entering solar eclipse, like a pool with solar eclipse, is a bit meh. There isn't like a good way to do it. I'm not entirely sure actually like what should be done in terms of like CD management and stuff. If you should be like entering solar eclipse as soon as possible and then dot. I think that could be like a really good idea for the sake of like, you know, not losing like a lot of time on your lunar eclipse and getting a lunar eclipse fairly faster. I think that's a good idea actually. I should probably do that. So I actually checked on the Balance Druid Discord about this one, and what you need to do in this case is actually entering solar eclipse as soon as possible, because like you don't really have any point in dotting beforehand. So what I should be doing here is Starfire, probably Starfall, then try to cleave the mobs with my Sunfire as soon as possible, otherwise dot with Moonfire and like generate a little bit of AP afterward. And that's probably far better, because I will get like you know, a lunar eclipse like a bit earlier in the pack, which is always practical. So yeah, like that's one thing to know, I guess. Good, we are doing the thing. I'm popping everything. I'm popping with my wall setup entirely good. Do I need to put here? Yeah, I think I'm doing the right thing. So we've been discussing about like, you know, should we like burn cities or not? I think I was the only one burning cities here. So we could secure the one phase, and while the others were keeping their cities for like the next boss, which would have been with Lust. So they get like a good value out of it. So it's actually good for me to burn pot on that, just to secure the thing. And this is the last spot of the dungeon as well. And I think like everybody has CDs for that, right? And I'm here like, you know, bottoming the DPS for sure. So yeah, not a lot to think about. Oh yeah, we were speaking about like use of Starfall for single target encounter. This is the best example that I have for sure. So you have a shield. You have like the Comet Storm coming up. All the casters need to stop, not you, because you have Starfall. Up, enable Starfall. Continue casting. Easy fucking peasy. So this is like really, really good as a tool to, you know, like continue DPSing. And it's not much of a DPS loss to actually enable Starfall. We got actually a bit lucky because like I'm the one going down without like any CDs for the Lust. So it's actually quite good here in terms of timing the key. Yeah, not a lot of thing to say here. Like I'm just like treating the thing. Pumping damage to the ad. Yeah, always keep a movement ability to get out of that shit. That shit actually hurts like a truck, and you should have like a defensive CD for it. Actually, I should be popping my bark skin here. Like I'm a bit trolling actually. Yep, that's about it. I'm not convoking here because I think like I could use like Celestial and not plus convoke in last time, and we'll see that like it's actually quite useful to do that. It's a fairly long encounter and a fairly annoying one to watch actually. Like there isn't like a lot to comment about. You just need to be careful about what you're doing. That's just about it, right? One charge, entering solar eclipse and pumping. And I'm coming back with the buff, with the thing, and we are timing the 20 because like the boss is basically dead. Up, there we go. Alright, so overall, like I think I need to be like a bit more clean on my setup. I think I'm doing like the right thing whenever like we are entering like eclipses. I need to be like a bit more mindful about CD organization. I think like my CDs were not that great. So yeah, like that's about it for this dungeon, I guess. It took a lot more time than expected, so like that's going to be a long video, and that's about it. And hopefully it will help for like other people that are like looking for improvement and stuff like that. And without further ado, have a good one.